It's Rick without the K. James presents, in my opinion, podcast.
Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, as well as the notification bell. Thank you for watching. We are back with another episode of In My Opinion Podcast. I have one of the legends.
This is the most labeling motherfucker. He's got merch, shirts, tables.
He's killing it.
His car's on fucking billboard, everything.
He's killing it.
He's got the mics. I mean,
I try. And it's all me setting it up. It's all me setting it up. I have one of Texas owns. I'm from Texas too. That's why I decided to wear this shirt instead. Born in El Paso, but we got Steve Trevino, and then I got Jay Rich. No.
and that guy.
Yeah, me and Jay Rich have been doing comedy together for
a good while.
Decade together, right? So
y'all both Bay Area comic guys.
Bay Area guys.
I've had him on the podcast. We've chopped it up, but we've got you on the podcast today,
the king.
And I want to tell you, this is probably one of the most special podcasts that I've had.
Oh, well,
only because I finally have had a Latino comic. I've had no one who's sold out theaters.
There's only five of us, bro.
No, there's not. There's a lot of us. But believe me, I've asked many of comics, and you're the first. You're the first to bless this mic. So
you've asked other Latino comics to come on your podcast, and they don't.
And they don't. Oh. And it'll be a topic that I bring up just because I feel like Latin comics are different when it comes to comedy. I feel like we don't help each other out as much as we could or should, right? So, but we'll get to that, and not on the negative shit. It's just reality. So, so it means a lot to me.
I think it goes back to the way that I approach stand-up, right? I mean, I don't. Number one, why would I say no? What does it hurt me? What is it? I mean, fuck, dude, probably 8 people watch this thing. I mean, who's gonna? No, but I was
waiting for him to jump in.
Yeah,
and be like, hey, you got more viewers?
Well, you got your mom, right?
And plus me trolling and hating.
Yeah. Right. The way I looked at stand-up comedy is like, I'm just gonna do everything and all the time. I love it. I love talking comedy. I love hanging out with comics. So why would I say no, right? Now, and I always tell people, if I say no, it's because I can't, not because I don't want to, right. And I noticed that in stand-up, I had this attitude where, I'm going to do every show I can, right? And then all of a sudden, I would do all the free shows, and then all of a sudden, man, living in LA, I got this spot, $50. Well, fuck, man, I'll go make $50, right? Right. So then the free shows started getting replaced with the pay shows, and then the $50 shows started getting replaced with the $100 shows, sure. I just kept going and going and going, and I just had the attitude of like, man, I'm gonna work, and I think some comics get to the point where they have this fucking attitude like, oh, I'm not getting paid, I get paid to do this, and it's like man,
only 6 weeks.
I did want to let all 8 viewers know. I told you last night, Steve, I said I went to the Oddball Comedy Festival, which is put on by Live Nation here at Shoreline Amphitheater probably about 7-8 years ago. I went with another comic, and he was part of the lineup. And we got to go backstage. Some of us had to hide, but that's a story all in itself. But I said you were part of the lineup. I want to say Hannibal Buress was there, Bill Burr, Lavelle Crawford.
And Lavelle was he's such a funny dude. I remember that week. It was also, I think D. Ray Davis was on the lineup.
The other comic from Chicago, what's his name? 5150. Dude's hella fucking hilarious.
Corey Hope.
Corey Hope.
Corey, yeah, that's
Corey
right.
was fucking there too. But I want to say, like, you set the vibe for the night, because not to say anything bad about the comics that came before you, but when you got on stage that night looking as just a spectator that night, I think you probably only did like 10, 15 minutes.
I forget what it was. It was like 15 or 20.
And and there's, if you've ever watched I Am Comic or whatever, they say that a headliner should be hitting, six punchlines every minute at least or whatever. in those 15 minutes, I think you hit about 120 plus punchlines. Like
Well,
you just bam,
Well,
bam,
laughs,
bam.
right? Laughs per second. Laughs per minute.
Laughs per
per
minute.
minute,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You know, and I'm all about. Well, number one, I want to obviously my main goal is to be funny.
Right.
Number one goal all the time is how funny can I be? My secondary goal is can I say something? Am I delivering a message? Am I talking about something that I care about, right? Those are my goals. How
Do you
funny,
feel like that's difficult to because somebody told me that before? It's easy to go up there and slap stick, make them laugh, but to say something right along with it. Do you feel as though I'm sure it's gotten easy over the years that you've been doing comedy. But when you has that always been your plan when you first
always
started?
Well, no. I mean, when I first started, I was very young, and it was. But when you're young, you don't have anything to talk about.
Right.
Right? When you're young, it's, man, I love chasing pussy, don't you? I like to drink, I like to party. You don't have the life experience. And also, you see these young guys that try to talk politics or they try to be heavy or serious. You look at a 25-year-old face and you're going, motherfucker, I don't care about what you have to say.
Right.
So the older you get, too, the maturity comes and your thoughts on life get deeper and stronger. So, it has evolved and grown over time. And now, don't get me wrong, I love all comedy, right?
Right.
And I think all comedy needs a place and a home.
Especially alternative comedy, right?
Even the alt comics. I just don't think they should call themselves comics. Being a comic means you're supposed to get fucking laughs.
Right. Big.
But I now that I'm older and I've been doing this now for 22 years, 23 years. You get to the point where you're like, man, I don't want to just go up there and make, at least for me.
Right.
And I tell people all the time, I go, look.
When you write a joke, Steve, sorry to cut you off.
No, I'm listening.
But this is what I wanted to ask as well, is because up until that point, I went around telling people, I'm like, one of the reasons Kevin Hart is such a great comic is a tag. You know what I mean? You write your punchline, and then the next laugh off the same thing is a tag for the viewers that don't know. That night, I saw you duplicate it.
Tag, call back.
So is that the way you write, or when did you?
I think that's a sign of a good comic, right? Is to be able to do callbacks, to be able to weave everything in together and go, oh, I remember he said that earlier, and then boom, he's hitting with it here. I think Kevin Hart's great is because he's vulnerable. I think a lot of comics get into comedy because they actually want to look and be cool. And I think that Kevin Hart broke that mold where he does make fun of himself. He does talk about his fears and his mistakes. And the vulnerability of Kevin Hart, to me, is what, he doesn't play this, I'm hard and I'm this tough dude and I'm from the streets of Philly. He doesn't play that. And that to me is played out in comedy. He's actually seems to be very, on stage, seems to be very in tune with who he is and what he looks like, and okay with it. And his vulnerability is what comes off.
How far into comedy did you start writing that way? Because every comic learns how to write a joke, and then we get that punchline. And some of us are like, okay, the joke is done.
I've told this
but you keep, and I saw it here tonight too, when you're like, no, that's just the first wave of laughs. Now it's time to get you going.
And you get it go. Well, but I don't know. I always say that the big change for me was when I met my wife. And I've told this story before. I hated her. I hated her for making me fall in love with her. That is the honest to God truth. Here I am on the road. I'm a fucking pirate doing whatever I want to do. I'm drinking every night.
How did you guys meet?
I tell the story on stage. We grew up in the same town, and her dad actually gave me her number to take care of her. And
he hooked it up.
But yeah, exactly. But I meet this girl, and
so you had dad's approval from like day one.
No, he fucking hated me. But I meet this girl, and I think to myself, I'm never gonna be with a girl like this ever again. So I have to take care of this girl that I got. She's beautiful. She's smart. She's everything. And I fucking truly hated her for making me fall in love with her. And I walked on stage, fucking mean about it. And I was like, she's making me do this, and she's making me do that, and fucking blah 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 blah. And it was funny, but it was mean, and it was mean spirited.
So how did that all come about? Because to my understanding, you grew up in a smaller town
Yep.
of about 4,000 people, right? And then you took off to Dallas.
Went
and
to Dallas,
started,
yep.
And started your comedy career there, right?
Started my comedy
So-
career there. I have been so lucky in my career, but yet so unlucky. I have been making a living as a stand-up since I was 21 years old.
Nice.
I got on tour with the Three Amigos tour I remember I turned 21 on tour, and I have never had a job since. So I've been very lucky in that sense. I've been very unlucky because I have been around forever, and I missed opportunities when I was young, TV opportunities, this and that. So my career path has been
So did you always go back home like every so often, every few weeks, once a month? Because
Christmas.
and then that's how you got with your wife? Like,
Well, no, she was in LA. She had gone to NYU.
Did
And
you
then-
watch the show early?
Yeah, I tell the whole story in the show.
Oh, wait for it now, man.
Well, she was out here for the summer, and we ended up hooking up, and she had to go back to NYU, and my wife's an actor as well, so she wanted to be in LA to follow her acting career. We fell in love. She moved in with me, and I've never liked LA.
okay.
I thought when you're young, you go, man, I got to move to LA, and I'm gonna make friends with all these great comics, and I'm gonna have this fucking brotherhood and it just never worked out for me, like that.
Right.
Boy, Charlie Murphy, my main man, Rick James. That's the one you think, the comedian Rick James. Get up.
I can't hear my neighbor crying, I can't breathe.
Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, as well as the notification bell. Thank you for watching.